Hey, this is Sri here, and in today's video, I'm going to answer the question, do men regret losing a good woman? Now, the chances are that if you're watching this video, you're probably going through a huge amount of pain right now in your relationship or your marriage. And, I'd love to be of service to you. I know, when we're going through separations or divorces and so forth, it can be the most intense pain. And, I want to be there to help you as best as I can. And I do that through my Authentic Relationship System training program, which is an incredible training program for women to help them to not only become the best versions of themselves and to heal some of those deeper wounds inside, but to learn specifically about male psychology so you can really learn how you can communicate with your husband or partner in the best possible way to ensure that you maximize your chances of being able to move forward and progress in your relationship or marriage. So if it's something that feels right for you, just in the description section below, there is a link that says book a call with me. Just click on that link, choose a time, and then I'll contact you at that scheduled time. And we can just see where you are now, where you want to get to, and how we can bridge that gap in the shortest possible time. You'll really, really enjoy it. And if it does feel like a good fit for you, then we can work through all the details. If not, that's totally cool, and I'll make sure I give you a couple of pointers in order to be able to move forward and progress in your life at this moment in time. Now make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that every week you get access to my latest videos teaching you specifics about how to improve you, how to understand more about men and their psychology, because let's face it, there are some real differences between men and women. And then you can also learn how to communicate and rebuild that trust back in your relationship or marriage as well. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Sri Rajasekar, and I am a relationship expert helping women to be able to not only improve the quality of their marriage or relationship, but really helping them to become the best versions of themselves, to really heal some of those deeper wounds inside. Because, when people are going through tough marriages, they often develop beliefs like they aren't good enough or they're inadequate and so on. And so I really help them to create that healing from inside, but to teach you some specifics about male psychology, because I firmly believe that so many relationships often fall apart because, partners don't know how to communicate with each other. And when you can understand how to communicate with your husband or spouse, it'll make an ocean of difference in terms of your ability to be able to connect with him, but also to get him to meet your needs and to fill your love tank up as well. Now let's talk about this question, do men regret losing a good woman? Now it's a really interesting question, but firstly what I want to do is I want to get you to picture a scenario here, and this may actually be your reality right now. You've been in a difficult marriage or relationship for a while now, sometimes 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and it's creating a huge amount of pain. And deep inside of you, there are often emotions that probably come up as well, such as inadequacy, rejection, anger, frustration, and so on. Now these are probably the deep emotions that you're feeling right now at this moment in time. Now if we take that a little bit further and we think about the scenario-based fears that you're experiencing right now, which is potentially losing your family, fearing whether you'll actually ever meet someone ever again, worrying about whether you can actually survive even on a financial level, especially if he's the one that's been providing for you the majority of the time. And ultimately, just a loss of certainty. As human beings, we crave certainty, we crave security. And so when our life is uprooted and the things that we've been putting our time and energy into for such a long time and expected it to be there, until we die, suddenly get uprooted, then we're at a point where we completely lose that sense of certainty and security inside. And that can create huge amounts of pain and fear inside as well. And ultimately we're on the defensive. But from this place, we need to get to a place of healing inside. Because if we don't do the healing inside, then we're constantly going to be running on that hamster wheel, not sure what to do, not sure what to say, not sure how to move forward. And that fear and that uncertainty, all those negative emotions that I described earlier, are going to continue to plague you over and over and over. So from here, I'm going to talk about two things. Firstly, do men regret losing a good woman? I'm going to expand on this topic more. And secondly, the most important questions that you can begin to ask yourself right now to really act as a catalyst for your own long-term healing on this path that you're on and be able to navigate yourself through this really difficult time that you're in right now. Now, regarding the first question, do men regret losing a good woman? The short answer is yes, they do regret losing a good woman. But in order to answer that question effectively, what we need to do is to understand the kind of man that we're actually dealing with. And so to understand that further, what we need to do is really explain the categories that men fall into. Now, for simplicity's sake, let's just put men into 3 categories for a second. The first category is a high-value man who is in pain. Now, what I mean by that is a high-value man is someone with integrity, with great morals, great values, and who is typically someone who is actually just quite confident and has been able to provide and to be able to protect and just been a really good man. But he's just in pain. He's going through some really difficult times. The nature of life is that we all have to experience pain at some stage. But often what can happen is for individuals, or for some men, they can get to this place where the pain becomes really overwhelming. They may have had a number of things happen in their life, and then that suddenly takes them off their path that they've been on for so long. And so when they're in that pain, then that creates a whole bunch of negativity inside and results in them doing things that maybe aren't necessarily logical in their mind at this moment in time. It's just instinctively and emotionally, that's just what's coming up for them. Your second category is a nice man, someone who's just very kind and very genuine and very sincere as well, but fundamentally lacks confidence and lacks any real belief in themselves. And I think if we're dealing with that sort of a man, typically what happens is they will be attracted to women who are maybe a little bit more confident than themselves, a little bit more sort of in control, a little bit more domineering on some level. And when you have that pattern going on, then that kind of man will often suppress his emotions and suppress his experiences and his desires and his wants and so on for quite some time, because they're afraid of ruffling feathers. They're afraid that that's actually going to trigger the other person and that's going to get them fundamentally in trouble and so on. And then they suppress and they suppress and they suppress. And that suppression leads to, once again, a whole range of negative emotions, and they hit a tipping point. And once they hit that tipping point, then it's, I just don't want to live like this. I don't want this life anymore. I can't handle this anymore. I need to get on with things and I need to move on. Now, the third category of men are low quality men who lack values, lack morals, lack integrity. And you can put narcissists and sociopaths and so forth into this particular category as well. Because I really believe in raising the standards, raising our standards as individuals and making sure that, when we're connecting in with other men, when we're getting into relationships or getting married to someone, that we're really understanding what's going on deeper inside of them so we can make the best decisions that we possibly can. Now, I guess to answer this question around whether men do regret losing a good woman, as I said, it's very important to categorize them so that we understand the kind of men that we're actually dealing with at this moment in time. Now, the way to differentiate these categories is to really understand their morals and their values. How often do they show kindness and gratitude and courtesy and so forth to you and to other people as well? Because it's the little things that count in life. It's the way they act on the little things that often determine how they handle the big things. That's something I really, really believe in strongly. If you're going to show courtesy and kindness for the little things that matter the most, then the chances are that you're going to have courtesy and kindness with the big things. But if you lack integrity with the little things, and let's say, for example, he's supposed to meet a friend and he doesn't show up, and he doesn't even have the courtesy to message him and say, look, I'm so sorry, I can't make it, or anything like that, the chances are that he's probably going to go off and do similar things to you or in bigger areas of his life as well. So how they often act with the little things often determine how they're going to act with the big aspects of life as well. Now, the reason this is important to understand about values and how people act with the little things and the big things is because if we're dealing with someone such as a narcissist, they're going to pull you back in, right? Because that's how they operate. They need to feed a deeper need inside of them, a deeper wound inside of them. But it may feel like he regrets losing you, but he's actually just trying to meet a deeper need inside of himself rather than necessarily realize that, I want to be with you and you're the love of my life and you're the person I truly want to spend the rest of my life with. It's very different dealing with that kind of individual versus someone who has high values, high morals, who really takes care of the little things as well as the big things in life. Because then when they actually regret losing a really good woman such as yourself, it's going to be really genuine, it's going to be authentic, and it's going to actually maximize your chances of actually having a successful marriage in the long run, because you're actually dealing with some fundamental core traits that are important to not only you, but to him as well. So you're really helping to build better foundations as well. And the chances are that people with higher morality and higher values and so on will basically be in a place where they're genuinely remorseful for any mistakes that they would have made, rather than someone who's just trying to get their ego stroked or, feed a deeper wound inside of themselves. Now, this is why I like to categorize men into these three categories, because it helps to determine and distinguish between, men who are high value versus those ones who are not necessarily going to be the best for you in the long run. So yes, men do regret losing a good woman, but at the same time, what we need to do is ask some key questions in order for us to make the best decisions moving forward. And this is what leads me to part 2 of this video, which is the key questions that you need to answer in order to create true long-term healing on this journey of yours. And as I've said in previous videos, relationships are always a massive teacher for our own self. They're helping us to heal, they're helping us to grow. They're helping us to become the best versions of ourselves. But often we get caught up in the other individual and what they're doing and how they can just get to a place where they give us the love and the attention, the affection that we truly want. But to me, that's operating at that lower level. We want to elevate ourselves. We want to elevate ourselves to look at relationships and marriages as a great teaching tool for ourselves. And I can tell you right now, in every relationship or even professional relationships that I've actually engaged in, there's always been such wonderful teachings for me to become the best version of myself. Because the reality is that either we're growing and we're making progress, or we're slowly declining and decaying. And we want to make sure that we're progressing. And we want to use this experience that you're going through, whether it be a separation or divorce or whatever challenge you're going through in your relationship or marriage. You want to use that so that you can become the best version of yourself and really create internal healing. Because I promise you, and I've seen this so many times, that even if a partner or spouse comes back home, let's say he's been separated from you for a while, even if he comes back home, what will happen is you'll feel even more insecure at home, because you'll just be checking every time he's on his phone, is he messaging someone else, or is he thinking about potentially leaving me, and so forth. It's often when they come back that we experience even more insecurity than we were actually separated. So I really want you to make sure that to move forward, to create real long-term healing, we've got to ask ourselves 4 key questions. Now, the first question is this man the right man for me? And this goes back to the first part of this video, which is understanding whether he is a high value man. And it requires you just taking a step back and just really looking at the overall relationship or marriage. How has he treated you? How has he treated your family? How has he treated maybe your kids? How has he, operated with his friends and his family as well? Does he honor what he says he's going to honor? Is kindness something that you value a lot? If not, that's okay. But if it is, then does he show kindness and compassion towards other people? Or is he only focused on himself? Is he only focused on just making heaps of money and not interested in anything else in life at this moment in time? Does he always want to go out and get fancy clothes and fancy cars and all that sort of stuff because it's feeding his ego inside? Or is he just someone who's really committed to the family and really committed to giving you the love and the attention and the affection that you truly deserve, but that part of him has just deserted him recently? Does he have these fundamentals inside of him? That's the first question you want to ask yourself. Secondly, what can I learn from this situation? I know this can be a little bit of a frustrating question, because it's like, he's the one that's left me, or he's the one that's decided to walk away. Why do I have to focus on myself? But trust me, you have to make this a priority. You've got to remember that the healing always has to come from within. So by asking yourself that question, what can I learn from this situation? Is this helping me to overcome some of my fears? Is it helping me become more independent? Is it forcing me to get to a place where I can stand on my own 2 feet as well, and maybe get a job because I've spent all of my life just looking after children and so on? These are all wonderful opportunities to become the best versions of ourselves. And I really think it's important to ask yourself that question, what can I learn from this experience? Now, just quickly in the comments section below, I just want you to write down, what is the biggest benefit that you've gained from your current relationship or marital challenges that you're facing? Just write them down below and I'll make sure I respond to your comments. The third question is, how can I begin to truly empower myself and heal from this situation? Naturally when you're going through these tough times, such as a separation or a divorce or whatever, you're going to be hurting, you're going to be experiencing a lot of pain. But this is an opportunity to heal those deeper wounds. Often I find with individuals who are going through tough times in relationships is they've been dependent on their husband or their spouse to be able to fill themselves up, rather than feeling like they can fill themselves up within themselves. You've got to build that beautiful relationship with yourself, and then the relationship becomes an extension of how you feel on the inside. It doesn't work the other way. We have to remember that it's not the responsibility of our partner or spouse to fill ourselves up. We've got to do that from within first, and then the relationship or marriage becomes an extension of how we feel on the inside. So we have to really develop that true sense of self-acceptance. And note, I didn't say self-love, I said self-acceptance, because I'm a real big believer that true self-acceptance equals self-love. We spend so much of our time focusing on trying to get to this viewpoint of self-love, but I honestly think so many people have an incorrect perception of what self-love is. Self-love is self-acceptance. It's not always just being in this happy, joyful place 24/7. As human beings, we have to experience the duality of life, which is sometimes we're going to feel crap and sometimes we're going to feel amazing. But self-acceptance is key. When we step into self-acceptance, then we make peace with ourselves. And even if we have some days where we feel a bit crap, it's okay. We accept that part of ourselves. And then that naturally leads into us experiencing true healing, which leads to true love for you. And finally, what is the gift from this experience? I look back on my life and I think about some of the challenging experiences that I've had, and believe me, I've had plenty of them. And at the time, they were the most painful things I could imagine, whether it be health problems or relationship problems or financial problems, whatever it is. They were really, really tough at the time, and it would just cut me up having to go through those experiences. But now I look back on those and I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for those experiences coming my way because they helped me to grow. They forced me to learn about things that I never would have learned otherwise. What's the gift in all of this? Is it that it's helping you to become the best version of yourself? Is it helping you to really heal from within? Is it helping you to create true transformation from within? Is it forcing you to really reevaluate your marriage? Sometimes we end up tolerating difficult circumstances in relationships or marriages for much longer than we really should do. So are these experiences right now forcing you to do that? And in the long run, you'll end up actually experiencing a huge amount of joy and happiness because you're dealing with the actual problems at the deepest level right now, rather than just sweeping them under the rug. So what's the gift in all of this for you? Now, I know sometimes that, the second part of the video, when it comes to real introspection, or even the first part of this video, which is trying to understand whether your husband or partner is a really good man, can be quite challenging. It'd be quite difficult to try and figure out, what's important to you and what are the right values and traits that you're looking for in a man. It can be really difficult to sort of identify that. And so for that reason, that's why I produced my Authentic Relationship System training program, which is an incredible program which helps you to not only be able to create changes in your current marriage, but really help you to create the healing from within and help you to become the best version of yourself, to create the transformation from within, to really feel like you're enough, to feel like you have that self-worth and ultimately that self-acceptance and self-love as well. It's an amazing program. And it really, really helps. And we've got countless clients going through it at the moment who've been able to create such radical shifts, not just in their marriage, but within themselves as well. But it does require work. And ultimately, it's about determining whether this is a good fit for you. So because I don't take on everyone as a client, I really want to make sure that you are a good fit. So all you need to do is just in the description section below where it says book a call with me, just click on that link, choose a time that works for you. There'll also be a short application form as well. If you can just fill out that application form And then at the scheduled time, I will contact you personally, and we can just understand where you are now, where you want to get to, and just how we can bridge that gap in the shortest possible time. It's an amazing call. You'll absolutely love it. And if it's not a good fit, that's totally okay. And we'll make sure we give you a couple of tips so that you're able to move forward and to help you on this journey of yours. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit the like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, just click the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell notification as well so you get notified every week when I produce my latest content. And make sure you comment below and just let me know what the biggest takeaway is on this video. I hope you've really enjoyed it and you've gained something out of it. And I'll make sure I respond to your comments as well. And finally, if you want to stop emasculating your husband, just click this video above. And then if you also want to learn how to save a broken marriage when only one person is trying, just click this video above. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next video.